Morning.
Hi, sir. Hi, team.
Yeah. Oh, shall we wait for a couple of minutes? Yeah, I think we'll start it. Okay. Good evening to all. Yeah, I think in 2026, I think this is the first time we are meeting for these sessions. So I'll wish you the best in 2026. Of course, I strongly believe that wishing and all this is just a formality, but I want all of you to actively look for opportunities. Okay, be very practical. It doesn't mean like if I wish you your year won't change. If it changes, I can wish you 100 times. But you have to be, I mean, on your foot and be very practical and be, uh, I mean, look for the opportunities and you have to be prepared for the opportunity. I know like there are plenty of opportunities for you to grow. I mean, if you don't find opportunities, let me know. And within your working organizations, you will find a lot of opportunities for you to work on and grow. The only thing is you need to be very smart. You need to get equipped with your skills. Okay, upgrade your skills. Of late, most people call them upskilling, being very adaptable. Okay, being uh, working with multidisciplinary teams, flexible and adaptable. So I pray and hope like you'll have a great year ahead, and I also see like would like to see like most of you will be in a good position or perhaps in a wonderful position in your career, looking for the opportunities. Uh, Keep upskilling, keep learning new things, be yourself upgraded. Okay. Uh, by default, you'll get the chances, you'll get the opportunities. I mean, overall, you need to be confident of yourself. Once you have these all attributes of the modern technology or the upgraded technology that's happening, not forgetting the basics. Okay. Uh, I wish you all 2026 in your career opportunities and in your personal life too. Uh, but as I said, like if uh, if fishing is only the thing that can change, I can do it every day. Every day can be a new year. Okay, just not on January 1st or Jan 1st. Every day make it special. I don't believe in resolution, but it's if you have any of that, stick to it and go ahead. Okay. Uh, Coming to the sessions, I mean, we were before I start about the MDSAP, I know like we have learned a lot, spent a lot of time on ISO 13485. Okay. And most of you have written the exam, internal auditor exam, you got the certification. I mean, that's not the end. Okay, listening to lectures and getting the certifications. Bottom line, you need to use that uh, content or the stuff which you have learned in more practical approach. Okay, if you are in regulatory or in quality, okay, you need to implement that practically where you have been. Okay, practically implement in your organizations what you have learned. Be an internal auditor, gain a lot of experience being the internal auditor. Of course, like maybe in your organizations, the internal audit may be twice or thrice a year, but you can conduct special internal audits of your department just to have an understanding or view over it. Or prepare the checklist based on the weakness where you find in your organizations. Okay. Weakness in the sense where you find the what you call the when you do the heat mapping, you'll find some red zones or hot zones where you have the probability of finding the NCs. Okay, if you have a new department that has been started, or if you have a new supplier coming in, you start doing the audits. In a small way, you can uh, start doing the audits. The best way to, to be to have a very close understanding on 13485, as for 13485, it's one best way is like you need to do the internal audits. Start doing internal audits of even a small supplier, okay, or somebody like any outsource supplier. It could be a calibration unit, it could be an like a supplier who does uh, even maybe minor or moderate supplier or some critical supplier or some companies where they do sterilization for you. So any outsourced activity you start doing internal audit for your organizations, be part of your internal audit team so that you do a lot of audits. That's the best way to be in touch with or to be grinding yourself, okay, in a very practical approach on 13485. Okay, this is very important. I say this. See, certifications and learning is one part that can really help you in your CV or in your resumes to keep it. But more for yourself, for your understanding and for your mindset, it has to percolate and you need to inculcate the habit of the QMS. Okay, in whichever department, whether you are in quality or in regulatory, or you want to do some compilation of the documents, audit preparation, how the COPA works, how the grading goes, okay, or the verification. Until you do something practically, have hands-on experience. I said in the starting, in the first week of November or sometime, like this is a very volatile subject. It's very mercurial. You tend to forget it if you don't practically work on these subjects. Okay, mainly the QMS system, and perhaps mainly the clause, the system based on clause and subclause. So that's the basic thing which you need to do. I'm there to help you in any way you want. Okay. And how to convert. You need to look at all wide angles of how to transform your ISO 13485 into ENISO. Okay. And the second opportunity, this is the second thing which you can say. ENISO is something like if you already have, but still you can learn from your organization how they have transformed with any additional documents. Of course, I know, like, compared to the old system of MDD, okay, the new EUMDR talks of lot of things that has to be integrated with ISO 13485 to become ENIS4. Okay, because there are a lot of uh, actors that have come in, like the economic operators, like you have authorized representative distributors, importers, notified body, you know, the obligations, responsibilities. We know you about the PRRC. Okay, that's a very important. UDI, DI is one important thing, and trying to understand the GMDN. Okay, global medical device nomenclature, or EMDN that has come very new, European medical device nomenclature. Okay, and most importantly, get yourself uh, very friendly with Udemy, how to get enter into the Udemy because it's online. From your organization, you should be handling the Udemy, trying to address the complaints or how to track the systems. Okay, in Udemy, I'll speak about Udemy and also on the UDA in a separate sessions, because now all the modules in Udemy are active. Of course, I mean, you know, like what is Udemy. Uh, so all the modules are active. Now you need to, those who want to, I mean, market their devices. I mean, it's like you need to enter into Udemy. I mean, enroll in Udemy. And suppose if your company is not marketing devices in Europe, still you can work on the system. It's an online system. Just enter into that and see. Or if some of your colleagues or circle is there who are doing this UMDR, you can just discuss with them and guide them. Okay. And the most important thing I have just, I mean, in afternoon, I think so. So written in the group or texted in the group is on where the US FDA 21 CFR 820 or the QS or in the first week of February is aligning with ISO 13485. Okay. Once I mean, that's as I said, it's a big thing, big historical change or historical event. If you look at 30, 40 years of the medical device history, I mean, US FDA always want to be uh, a very unique and separate from the regular systems. But now US has agreed to merge with 13485. Okay, align and integrate with 13485. Now, basically, I think like we have a global QMS, like global quality management system. So you work on, now they are merging in the form of QMSR. It's like quality management system regulations. Earlier it was QSR, quality system regulations. Now it is QMSR. Okay, so there 21 CFR 820 still exists, but it will be more, aligned, integrated, or combined with 13485 in QMS, Quality Management System Regulations. That is the third one. So first I said is like transforming or converting it into EN ISO 13485, that is com complying with European regulations, UMDR 2017. This is the first opportunity you'll have. Second opportunity is and integrating that with the USFDA 21 CFR 820 or the QSR. Okay, and the fourth important one is how you are converging this with MDSAP. That's what we were talking in last two sessions. Like uh, the basic structure of MDSAP, I said, is on the foundations are built on ISO 13485. So you have a lot of ways where you can actively and practically work on the 13485, looking at the different scenarios, uh, and getting, I said, basically getting involved yourself in the internal audits. Maybe if you do say 5, 6 internal audits, you obviously will become the internal auditor, team leader. Then later, after a year or so, you can move and enroll in lead auditor training. Okay, lead auditors will have the opportunities to audit other companies or the big suppliers. So you should be ready practically. I mean, skilled enough. I'm looking at one angle on QMS. Okay, there are a lot of things which we are going to learn later. Like on the regulatory, we have a lot of things on to learn on UMDR or USFDA. A lot of things linked to the PMS, okay, CER, predictive analytics, statistical approaches. Okay, mostly we'll be studying on the Six Sigma. What are the ways to do the Six Sigma or the productivity CPK or PPK we call your production capability. So we will have a lot of things, but as of now, since you have completed the bulk of the session or bulk of the learning on the quality management system, so you need to change your mindset, okay, your approach towards QMS, okay, and move stepwise. Okay, don't directly jump into that. Stepwise, you start implementing like I see couple of people in our group working on it, like Masjid. Masjid was working on that. You keep asking me. Of course, I shared one of the very important document for USFDA or for the MDSAP. That is, can somebody tell me which document I shared this afternoon? Just scroll in your WhatsApp, you will find it. I mean, in the group WhatsApp. What is the document which I shared?
And identification of hazard, risk control, risk verification.
Yeah, that what I call that document as quality system, quality risk management system. So it is basically called QRM, quality risk management. Okay, what is quality risk management? I told you, I think you people have very short memory, or you are just too much involved in your, I mean, in your free time. Of course, you need to involve in your company's work during the work hours. But when you're free or when you have some time, just scroll through what I have shared and try to listen to the key points. Of course, I am sharing the summary or the recap of the sessions in Zoom or in the Word form. Of course, that's speech to text through AI companion that is converted from speech to text, but it is giving a summary of it. That's really good. If you can read the summary of what we have discussed in the session, there's 5 minutes or 10 minutes reading time. Okay. Of course, the total session you need to listen it for 2 hours. The recordings which I am sharing, but you can look it into that and just remind yourself what I am sharing. Okay. I said like quality risk management, QRM is a very important part of the MDSAP. Also on the USFDA, the QSR, of course, in less than a month it will become QSRM, quality system, quality quality management system that will be with 134. But the basic point, what I want to tell you on that quality risk management is like, see, for devices or for products or medical devices, we do risk management files. Okay, we identify the hazards. We know the hazard situation where it can happen, where it can get in. That may turn into a risk. Okay, risk by design or risk in various approaches, risk because of the manufacturing process, risk because of, okay, your working condition or environmental conditions, work risk because of the manpower. So there can be risks that are coming in different ways. Starting from the design, you can have the risk. Okay, for the devices, it could be simple class 1 device can also have few risks. Okay, but as you go to the higher risk classification from class 1 to class 3, there will be a lot of risk. And basically our classification, I mean, our devices are classified on risk base. I mean, the approach is risk based classification. And 13485 also talks about risk based approach. Okay. I mean, there we in devices we talk about the hazard situation, the harm. Then we enter into the risk. What are the risk controls we have to mitigate the risk or risk mitigation? Okay, evaluation of the risk. After you do all the risk control mitigation, then you need to know, okay, what are the risk controls you have? You have basically will have a lot of risk controls. And then later, what is the residual risk? Is the residual risk after doing all this stuff, what is the risk still exist for this particular device? Or you have eradicated the risk or mitigated the risk, okay, to a level of something zero. And it's eradicating risk to the level of zero is impossible. Okay, no one can do it. But we need to uh, bring the risk as low as possible, as low as reasonably possible. Okay, and look at the risk acceptability. Is the risk accepted? If it is not accepted, what's your next step? Okay, and what are the additional risk controls you are bringing out? Okay, and overall, you pretty well know, all of you are in QARA. What is the risk benefit analysis, or some call benefit versus risk? Okay, end of the day, we say the benefits outweigh the risk. So you have a lot of benefits than the risk. Then the common statement everybody uses is, as this device complies with so and so requirements, and it can be safely used for that particular intended use. Okay, that's how the risk management is structured. Okay, if you look at any risk management file structure for the devices. But here we are talking entirely different on writing a risk management file for the quality management system. Because you have a lot of clause, every clause talks of so many things, subclause, and every subclause has some different points, and every point directs at something or guides you at something. Okay, starting from your scope to clause 8, okay, including your product realization management, there you will have, in every aspect you will have a lot of risks. Okay, the quality risk management is the document, very, very important document, where you need to see the risks as you see them in your devices. Okay, like in the quality management is what are the risks I'm going to encounter. Okay, you talk about the hazard. What is the hazard if I have not done this? Suppose I don't have control on my documents. What is the problem? Okay, I don't conduct the internal audits. What is the problem? If I don't do some of the, I don't have control on my records. Okay, my exclusive criteria or non-applicability is not right. I have not designed my scope properly. Okay, I'm just touching those which have very less impact. If we go into sections like sorry, on clause like 6 and 7, including clause 5 on management, you will have a lot of risks. Okay, for not complying with the documents or complying with the clause. What are the risks? What are the hazards? Sorry, what are the hazards and what are the risks you'll encounter? Okay, mainly in design and development, you'll have a lot of them. In product realization, on production and service controls. Okay, on purchase, you'll have a lot of risks. You have not done a supplier evaluation. What will happen? You don't have a supplier agreement. You don't have control on outsourced activities. Okay, you're not doing the COPA or you're not doing any proper thing on MEI, monitoring, measurement, and analysis. So for each clause, we have identified what are the hazards, what are the risks it may have. Okay, then what are the risk controls? Okay, and what is the risk verification? Controls and verification, risk mitigation, control and verification, all of them fall in the same line. Okay, then is the risk acceptable? So you go through the document. I have shared a summary of that, and I also shared Annexure A, Annexure B. Annexure A basically on what are the hazards that you can identify, and Annexure B is very important on what are the risks. Okay, risk control or risk verification, and here we call it as not as a residual risk. Okay, it is the completeness of the effectiveness of the control documents. Is my risk mitigation or risk control complete, or should I need to add some more risk controls? Okay, where I am controlling my risk through some tests or through some documentation. A lot of ways you can control the risk. Okay, training the manpower or modifying your infrastructure, adding new personnel. A lot of ways are there where you can control the risk in the QMS. But end of the day, you need to have control on the QMS from wherever the risk may come. Okay, till clause 8.5, till your improvement. If there is no improvement in your QMS also, it comes under as risk. Because I said any QMS should have a continuous improvement. If your QMS is stagnant, status quo, it's like the same, like you're a frog in the well, not knowing what's happening outside your system, outside the QMS or outside your organization. You're like a frog in the well, like you don't know what's happening outside, what are the updates that are happening. So you need to integrate that with a lot of things, the improvements. Okay, please go through that document. It's not so difficult to understand. Okay, and it is, I could say it is 80-90%, it will be the same document for most of the organizations. Okay, unlike the device specific risk management, which we will do. Why it will be most of the times it will be common is we follow the ISO 13485. It's the same clause, same subclause, or same documents for us. Few of the things may change based on the scope of your ISO. Okay, few of the things but same, but most of the thing you can start implementing in your organization. You're working for somebody like Pranita or Leela or somebody new to this, they can start reading and try to understand. Once they get the opportunities, straight away they can talk on this in their new organizations where they get the opportunity. Okay, I know about the QRM, I know about the internal auditing, I know about a lot of clause, how they integrate. Okay, process-based approach, all this stuff. Even you can start talking on MDSAP. See, coming to MDSAP, I love if anybody can implement their MDSAP in their system. Of course, it's not so easy like what I have talked earlier. MDSAP, you need the management approvals, you need a good team. Okay. But you can start doing like in baby steps. Start working on the documentation. If you are in QA, you can start doing working on this with approval of the management. Like I know it doesn't happen overnight, but still it's not a impossible thing. I said it's not a rocket science, or it's not quantum physics also. Okay, need to have so much IQ to understand it. It's a basic thing of practically implementing it. Okay. So I mean, not only this ISO or MDSAP or QRM, what I have discussed, whatever I'll be discussing next. Okay, next we'll be talking on the risk management. I said that's the crux of the QMS, whether you look at the quality management system or for the devices also. Okay, the risk management system is very, very important. 14971 ISO 149 is for the devices and it's for the QMS. It holds a lot of weightage. If you are very good in risk management, okay, or trying to identify, it's not only the documentation part I'm talking on risk management. Documentation part is very well structured. Most of you know, or you can learn it. Those who don't know how to structure the risk management documentation, risk management file, what are, will be basically 2-3 years I can discuss. But importantly, I mean, if you are looking at the risk in the devices, okay, if I tell you a new device, how you identify the risk? Okay, if it is a QMS, how will identify a risk in new organization? Okay, in the QMS, how you will identify the risk? How you will control the risk? So that, and as we move along also, I want you to practically work on those. It's not, again, I'm saying, it makes me worrying, like, it's not just listening to my lectures and trying to, I mean, uh, go through them or try to share this information. It's more important in a practical point of view that I'm talking about you guys, like you need to make this happen or practically implemented in your organizations or any organizations which you enter. Okay, and that makes you more satisfied than just you can I can share with you hundreds of tons of literature on that, tons of recordings on that, but practically understanding and implementing, that gives you immense satisfaction. And once you start doing that, okay, you'll remember this as long as you are in the medical device field. Okay, we'll be talking on a lot of other things also. So I know like some of you have enrolled in the AML, looking at the QARA. That is what will we say, a more futuristic way, and that's going to happen. And a more faster way of doing things, more ways of probabilistic, predictive way of doing things. It's not like walking in the blind, like somebody says, don't be like a blind man searching for a black cat in a dark room, which is not there. But don't be like that, and don't search for a black cat in a dark room. Of course, the man is blind and there is no cat, and the surroundings are black, and you are searching for the cat which is not there. So you have to be, I mean, this is more predictive probabilistic approach, which I'll take. Some of you are there in AML, which I'll be talking on a lot of things on a very pragmatic way of doing things. Okay, there you can link the processes very easily. As I always say, like, time is very important. Most of, in medical device, most of the regulatory, we spend a lot of time on documentation. Okay, even regulatory also spend a lot of time on doing very manual things, routine manual things. Okay, filling the records. No, that ways of traditional way of looking at things. Okay, manual way of recording or manual way of interpreting things. Of course, I know like human intelligence is much better than artificial. But as I said, in Industry 5.0, it's not like AML is going to overtake the humans. Okay, in Industry 4.0, 4.0, people used to think like AML is, or machines are going to overtake the humans. But in the most important part, the most important point I like in Industry 5.0 is, okay, the AML or the machines or the new technologies, okay, are going to integrate with humans, okay, empower humans. Of course, human intelligence is to take control on that. It's not that AML will dictate everything. Okay, human intelligence or some of those they have to take decisions. It's not like we depend everything on the machines to take the decisions. However advanced is the technology, they do a large part of the work. I know the bulk of TDS, what we call the donkey work. But end of the day, when the output is there, you need to take the call on decisions, whether it's right or wrong, or whether to restructure it, or even in, I'm talking of something like even in diagnostic devices or SOMED devices. Of course, one of the part is SOMED separately, and how AML is linked to the QARA. Of course, I know like in a year or two, most of the devices where it is permissible will be linked to the artificial intelligence, either in the form of IoT or some machine learning algorithms or machine learning platforms. Okay, where you will get the outputs very fast. Okay, instead of waiting for a long time, even for design and development, where I discuss later. But of course, like entering into our sessions on MDSAP, just for a recap, I told to you that I told a lot of things, but I just want to emphasize on few things. The foundation of MDSAP is on ISO 14971 plus 5 countries. Okay. And the main important problem is how we need to integrate these 5 countries regulations, okay, into the ISO 13485 and make it a compact MDSAP document. So once US steps in, it will be more a global QMS. Okay. I'll also tell you maybe now or later how to, of course, US is there now in MDSAP. Okay. Some may have doubt whether MDSAP ISO 13485 is going to overtake the QSR 21 CFR 820 in US. Of course, I mean, it may not happen, but there will be some country specific, what you call US specific regulatory compilation, I mean, regulatory obligations for them. Okay, the regulatory part we need to look on separately, though they combine with ISO 13485, which I'll discuss. But as you know, I mean, I talked about this. Again, it's a risk-based approach. It's more process linked. MDSAP is more process linked. Okay, if you look at the main concept or the logic behind MDSAP, you know, like one audit, you'll get 5 countries or multiple countries, or registrations can be done, or multiple countries QMS, you will get the certification. I don't know, 5 countries are officially there. I am pretty sure in this year another 2 countries will be entering, or 3 countries could be having that. I said like the 3 countries like South Korea, Singapore, and Switzerland, and many more are trying to come in. Like in geopolitics, where we have BRICS. I think most of you know what is BRICS. More countries are trying to join BRICS. So, okay, BRICS Union, like where you have G2 or G7 countries, G20 countries, BRICS countries. Now more developing countries are trying to come and join BRICS. Okay, BRICS is more for the developing nations. G7 is mainly for developed. Okay, I'm sorry for touching the politics. Uh, yeah, sometimes you get vexed with reading newspaper because a lot of things happened in last 10 days. I think in next 10 days or 1 month, the world will be, I pray the world won't be upside down. Okay, you know what happened in various countries in last 10 days. Let's pray, hope for the better. So why I moved that is because you have a lot of countries that are entering in uh, MDSAP. Maybe by year end you'll have. So we need to understand how to do the documentation for them. Okay, for the MDSAP. This is a core thing. Of course, the concept, the objectives of the MDSAP, we already discussed. Of course, it's a risk-based, like in ISO, where we look more into risk-based. Okay, and it is a process-based approach, process linkages. But I also said this, MDSAP looks more or perhaps very critically into the link-based approach, process-based approach than ISO 13485. Okay, if you see the audit approach document, they are, I mean, like, they poke finger in all departments and smell it and go to the other department. Okay, they keep linking every simple thing to other departments and see how this risk carries to the other departments or find the non-compliances with other departments. Okay, all that we have discussed, and I also told country-wise, there will be different aspects, country-specific aspects where they give a lot of importance. Of course, all the clauses that are there in 13485 are important, but some countries specifically give importance or stress some of the things. Like I told you, USFDA talks a lot on design controls. Brazil talks a lot on risk management. Okay, and Australia talks, TGA talks mostly on, I mean, give a lot of emphasis on GMP or microbial contamination, sterility, all this stuff. And I told very clearly, Health Canada and Japan, okay, Health Canada, Japan, PMDA, Japan are very close to 13485. They have only 5% differences with ISO 13485. So there's not big thing that we need to worry about Health Canada and Japan. Okay, Japan has very few specifics which we need to look at it. But Health Canada, yeah, it's the same system, but their emphasis on certain clause or certain chapters is very, very important. So the other three countries like Australia, Australia, Brazil, and US, they have very specific country regulations. Uh, Japan and Health Canada are almost in line with ISO except few things. Okay, that's one thing I told to you. Of course, I discussed a couple of other things. And the other important thing I said is on most importantly on how the structure of the MDSAP looks like. I said you'll have 7 chapters just to make you recollect because it's been a week or 10 days we spoke on this. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, great, Leela. See, it looks similar to this part is very similar. What you have in ISO. Okay, the scope, normative references, terms and definitions, abbreviations. But in normative references, I told you one important thing. Can somebody tell? Apart from 19001, there is another document which comes in place. See, in ISO, you have normative references. From where you pick the normative references or the terms and definitions in ISO?
19001
Yeah,
2015.
very good, Madhu. But I told you there is one more document which comes into picture. I told like there is one document when we discussed about internal auditing, internal audit training, we discussed about one document called auditing management system. Can you remember it? Any audit, there is one ISO standard, okay, which talks about how the QMS should be audited or the quality management. If it's a medical device or if it's ISO 9001, ISO 900, or any other thing which has to be how it has to be audited. That also comes as one of the normative references, that is ISO 19801. That is the auditing management system. So the rest, except that, the rest are fine. Okay, terms and definitions, you'll find more terms and definitions because there are 5 countries that are entering. You need to involve. Of course, I'll share with you a quality management system manual of this. MDSAP quality management system manual. Actually, this is one of the part of the manual which I made for a company. This is quality system manual. Now they changed in quality management system manual. This quality system manual, PSM. Now it has become quality management system manual. This I have done long back in 2002. Sorry, 2020. Okay, I want to stress morely on these chapters. I told you there are 7 chapters. I told you not to remember these 2, which we have to discuss separately. And I also emphasize why management has come first. Because chapter management, generally we have it in ISO in clause 5. Okay, but here it has come as topmost. You can understand the importance of management in MDSAP. I emphasize it a lot. That management is not the interaction with the management, or the management is not just something they have some work that has to be mainly a rhetoric thing. they have to hold the responsibility, not allocating responsibility to others. Okay, they should have complete knowledge on the QMS system, what's happening, include the regulatory system, regulatory changes that are happening. Okay, and management has to hold a lot of responsibility. Basically, for some of the countries like Health Canada, Japan, and Australia, they will have to hold responsibility. Okay, it's not the, I mean, I said they have to legally binding to this. It's not something a certification. It is sometimes it becomes a legal binding. When I say legal binding, it means any adverse event, any PMS that injures the patient. Okay, I'm not talking about the product liability insurance. Okay, any product, if there is any problem, the patient can claim the insurance of the device, wherein the company pays. Okay, but more than that, there is a chance that the management lose their marketing authorization in the particular country, like in Australia and Japan. Okay, if there is a repeated adverse events or some serious adverse events, even a simple morbidity which has higher probability or occurrence, they may lose the marketing access. So the management holds the responsibility, not the management representative or the employees. Even in some countries like which we'll be talking, even authorized representative doesn't hold much responsibilities. Okay, maybe I'll about Arbizon, I'll talk about that for a month, like how to do this. And secondly, these two I said are very, very specific for chapter 2 and chapter 3. Sorry, chapter 2 and chapter 4 are very specific for every country. Okay, of all, if you take all 5 countries, they'll be entirely different. They are very specific. Like on device marketing authorization, how to get your device authorized or getting them marketed, and facility registration, how you have to do. For all 5 countries, they have different approach, different ways. Okay, like Aman, you have chatted in the WhatsApp, like for particular country, like if you look at Eurasia or the countries around Russia and other countries like Belarus, Kazakhstan, and other things, they have a different approach of device marketing authorization or facility registration. Okay, but if now we are specifically talking about MDSAP countries, that's why I shared. See, I have worked in almost registering this a lot of devices in 25 countries. Okay, every country has their own registration issues, registration structure, whether it's facility or device registration. Okay, so but most of us were very eloquent and very thorough or have a lot of understanding and knowledge with European Union, UMDR, and of course some of us also have a lot of knowledge on the US, and a part of them mainly in Brazil on Envisa. But of late, as I told you in the last classes also, most of the device marketing are moving from Europe, device entry or marketing or authorization are moving from US and Europe towards the West Asia, okay, towards the Latin American countries. Okay, you know the South American countries, not the North America. North America is just US, Canada, and Mexico. But if you look at South America, there are a lot of countries, including the latest Venezuela. Venezuela you can take out, but there's a big market in Brazil and Chile, Argentina, Colombia. Okay, a lot of things are there. That's a Latin American, but it's basically moving towards Asia Pacific. Okay, you'll find more markets in I mean, that's what we call diversification of the markets. Okay, as you have a lot of markets in Eurasia. Actually, Ukraine is a very big market before the war started for medical devices. I'm talking about medical devices, not other products. Okay. Uh, of course, Eurasia is one, and the Asiana countries like you have the Indonesia, you have Singapore, Philippines, Vietnam. Vietnam is now importing a lot of devices. Okay. Of course, Sri Lanka, they don't have much, but I mean, you can move towards that. That's more diversification of the markets, and it is basically because of a lot of tariffs and not finding a lot of components by the US. Of course, we still have the US market uh, intact, but that's fine if you can find diversifying your markets, which means you have to be very. Suppose if it is in MDSAP countries, you need to be very particular or very uh, uh, very much acquainted or working on this on device market authorization, how to get this facility registrations. Okay, to expand your market portfolio. In MDSAP, we'll discuss on this. Okay, and then is analysis and improvement. Analysis is called MEI, measurement analysis and improvement. It's looks similar to that of ISO. And this is chapter 4 is entirely different. It's on adverse events, advisory notices. Every country has a specific way of addressing the adverse event. Okay, what is an adverse event? Serious adverse event. Okay, field safety corrective actions. So there are a lot of things and just an event. It may not be adverse. And what is an event? What is an adverse event? What is a serious adverse event? Okay. And every country has their own timelines of reporting to them. Okay, their country or the regulatory authorities of that country, when these events happen, they give timelines like immediately or 7 days, 15 days, 30 days. And what are the actions you will be taking further on this? What is the COPPA? Okay, that all will be covered in chapter 4. So chapter 2 and chapter 4, I say, are entirely different, are very, very specific to their own countries. That will take them. These are very two small chapters. But the rest you see on the management, chapter 1, chapter 3, measurement, analysis and improvement, chapter 4, sorry, chapter 5, chapter 6, chapter 7. See, this 5, 6, 7 in ISO, where you find, in which clause you find, in which clause you find chapter 5, 6, 7.
7, clause 7.
Yeah, it is in clause 7. I mean, the beauty of 13485 is, sorry, MDSAP is like, they have totally butchered or separated clause 7 into separate chapters, because they say, like, when you read it, I mean, when I read it long back on why they have done this, why clause 7 in 1348 has been separated as, I mean, like individual chapters or something, like which to me like a standalone chapters, like, of course they are interlinked, but all the subclause in clause 7 have been separated as design and development, production and service control, and purchasing. And your clause 8 comes here as chapter 3, measurement, analysis and improvement. Okay, clause 5, which is management, comes as chapter 1. So they have given a lot of importance to chapter 1, that is clause 5 in ISO. Then given to clause 8. They made it chapter 3, measurement, analysis and improvement. And total product realization on clause 7 has been separated, okay, on design and development, production and service control and purchasing. I think this makes some sense for you to understand how the ISO 13485 is restructured in MDSAP. Okay, they have their own way and they give justification why this has been restructured. Because they are talking about 5 countries. And 5 countries, you need to make the management responsible. They said, like, we want the management to be responsible for everything. Just make it the top priority. Chapter 1. Okay, device marketing authorization, facility registration is another thing because they are again not talking of one country because there are 5 countries. You need to differentiate this chapter on device authorization and facility registration. They made it important that, but of course, chapter 3 is also most important, which is clause 8 in ISO, because they are very, very concerned about this point on measurement analysis and improvement. Okay, whether you take on PMS, CAPA, customer complaints, internal audits, improvement process, all that. Okay, is prime most important for them. Looking at the organization structure and the function of it, and more on the sustainability of MDSAP. It's not like you want to have MDSAP for a time or for only brief time. How can they have this certification, okay, in recertifications for a long time? This is very important. Okay, the measurement analysis. And chapter 4 is again country specific. It's very important for them, for MDSAP countries, because they need to understand how your device is working in the real world, the PMS. Okay, what are the parameters you have, measurement and improvement of that, and how you are going to analyze the data. Okay, design and development, as I said, US has a very important hand in this on design controls. And you see, like, if you look at EUMDR, that doesn't talk much on this. Okay. What I'm talking, design and yeah. Like in MDR, that doesn't stress too much on design development. Of course, they give importance to it. But in India, MDR, we doesn't talk much about design and development. And few other countries also don't talk much. This is production and service control is different. And purchasing is a part of the production and service control. That's why it comes in product realization in clause 7. And I also told, like, please remember these chapters. Okay, and the importance of this, the gravity of them in MDSAP. And I also said each section for each chapter is again divided into a lot of sections. Basically, if you look at the document, MDSAP audit approach document or MDSAP companion document, which was released, I also shared with you. Just go back, check the WhatsApp group 10 or 15 days back, you'll find a lot of documents which I have shared. And each country QMS also I have shared. All 5 countries QMS I shared them. And the MDSAP documents also I shared, audit approach, companion document, a lot of, they have released a lot of documents like how EUMDR releases, releases document every week or every month. It's good to have guidance documents, but releasing them every week and every month, a lot of documents really makes us confused. So, like, which one to adopt or which one is nonsense. Okay. So we need to be very smart and while you're going through these documents released by these important organizations, you need to understand like which one to, you need to be smart enough to understand that it's not like whatever they release is, it's not mandatory that we need to read it or try to understand it or try to implement it because it's not necessary for us. Okay, and important thing is like they are separated. Basically, if you look at the companion document or the audit approach document, they have divided this into tasks. Whether it is task comes as sections, something like in ISO, how we see them as subclause. Okay, chapter we need to see them as clause here. Okay, and sections you need to see them as subclause of that. So I told there are a lot of subclause for each chapter. See, I said this chapter you have only 2, 3. And this is very important. You have something like 16 subclause. MAI, measurement analysis and improvement. This has only 2 because chapter 4 and chapter 2 are country specific. 1 and 3 has a lot of subclause, measurement analysis improvement, and this is also has 16. And this is the one which has the most. Okay, production and service controls. 29. Purchasing outcome. So based on this subclause or what we call what MDSAP calls them as tasks, tasks further are converted, we need to convert them into separate section. So based on this clause and sections, subclause and sections, we need to write the QSPs. Okay. So today I will tell you how to structure these QSPs, how to write a QSP. Okay. It's not like for every section you need to write a QSP. You can combine which are very close. Oh, something like the sections which are very close, you can make into a QSP. It's not like you have say 29. I told you like all the last section in every chapter is on top management commitment to that particular chapter. So that you can make it a one common QSP, which I will show. And some of them you can just merge them like work environment, you can't merge this. Suppose process validation of sterile process is there. Both are talking about validation. So this you can combine and make it as one QSP. Okay, so that see the less QSPs you have, you'll have a better idea instead of having tons and tons of QSP saying that I have a lot of documentation. See, your documentation doesn't speak about your conformity with the QMS or your compliance with QMS. Because you have a lot of documentation or a lot of QSPs or a lot of SOPs, it doesn't mean that okay, you are good in your QMS. Your documentation speaks a very little. So the better way, the modern way of documenting is to have an concise, very compact documentation, but you need it has to speak okay about all the aspects of the QMS. I told you know, like I saw a company where they have 500 SOP or something like 350 or 500 SOP. No, it took so much time for me to understand why they have written 500. And later I asked them to combine and it has just boiled down to somewhere around 100 when they have combined all those which are relevant, they made it as 100 SO. Okay, so you'll have a very proper structured and direction, otherwise you go haywire. Okay, there are a lot of SPs don't know where to connect which QSP to connect. So what you practically do here, guys, in MDSAP is okay, first we'll write the QSPs. Okay, based on chapters and the sections. Then for each QSP, we link okay the SOPs which are already there. Some of them you can directly link them to QSPs, or some SOPs you need to modify and link them to the QSP. Okay. After linking them, of course I'll show a model of it. After linking your SOP to the QSP, then you need to write the quality manual for the MDSAP. So the first task here in documentation of MDSAP is writing the QSPs based on the chapters, 7 chapters, okay, and on the sections, how you are going to write, because you have to write the QSP for all 5 countries. And the sixth is you need to have include the ISO 13485. Okay, it total becomes like you need to work on 6 QMS systems, 5 countries QMS system, and plus ISO 13485. So all the 6 has to be combined and made into a QSP, and then later we will link the SOPs to the QSPs to the relevant QSPs where it is it has the scope to be taken up or to be discussed. Okay, and of course for the SOPs you have a lot of forms and records or some anecdotes that will be linked. So the structure in MDs are more specifically a quality manual, but we don't call quality manual here like how we call it in ISO. It's quality system manual. Now it has changed to quality management system manual. QSM, quality system management manual. But I mean, once the FDA enters, but as of now, we can call it as quality system manual, QSM. I'll tell you how it looks like. So the first task for is to write the QSPs. So you have 7 chapters, a lot of things, okay, a lot of sections. And guys, if you go through each section, okay, you find almost 80-90% of the sections in the 5 chapters. Don't think of the chapter 2 and chapter 4. Okay. Chapter 2 about marketing authorization and facility registration. You don't find them in ISO 13485. Okay. And adverse event reporting and advisory notices, you don't find them in ISO 13485 except one para or say few lines about that. Advisory notices you find in, I think, in clause 8.3, but it is very, very limited. So clause 2 and 4 are very specific to countries, but you find a lot of the other on management, MAI, okay, measurement analysis and improvement, design development, production and service controls, purchasing, all these 5, you find them somewhere in ISO 13485. Okay, so first thing is when you are doing the QSPs or structuring the QSPs, take those chapters, these 5 chapters, which are very relevant to ISO 13485. Okay, for some time you pause on chapter 2 and 4, but because we are country specific, I will be sharing like a lot of documentation on how to do this marketing authorization, facility registration, chapter 2, and chapter 4 on adverse events, reporting and advisory notices. Okay, of course they have only like 5 QSPs, both combined. Chapter 2 has 3 QSPs, chapter 4 has 2 QSPs. So it will be 5 QSPs. If you look at like okay, so this is QSP 1, which refers to chapter 1. Okay, whatever is 1 is referred to chapter 1. Chapter 1 is management. So there are 11 QSPs. Of course, you can elaborate more, divide it. Most of them you find in ISO like planning, implementation, management representative, quality policy, objectives, but you need to restructure a lot of them or combine a lot of them because you're talking about 5 countries. Your quality policy may not change, but sometimes your quality objectives change. Okay, the structure responsibility may remain same, but There are few things which will be changing. We need to redesign the QSPs or write them particularly new. Most of the companies don't have QSPs. QSPs are level 2 documents. Some of them directly jump into SOPs from quality manual. They write the quality manual, then they link the quality manual with SOPs. Okay. But in MDSAP, we need to have a middle layer that is the QSP. Are you getting my point? Anybody has questions? Okay, I
So,
said
sir, sir,
yeah.
so in MDSAP, you need to have both QSP and SOP, right?
No, no. You need to have required QSPs and not more. See, don't have more. Even in ISO, don't have too much of documentation. Don't more QSPs or more SOPs, more records. It doesn't speak. I mean, uh, like very dynamic approach or very. It means like you are having very much a straight or outlaid QMS. It has to be very compact. Like QSPs are very see, quality manual is the level 1 document, you know it. It talks everything in a compact way about the organization. QSP, it talks little bit elaborate, okay, based on the processes. Okay. It's a quality, it serves as a link between your SOP and quality manual. So in MDSAP, the point is they stress more on the QSPs than the SOPs. So you need to be, however, the QSPs will be linked. I'll show you a document on that, a couple of documents on that, a couple of QSPs on that, how it will be linked to SOP. And then it will be linked to your record. The same QSP will be linked to the SOP and the records. So I'm not saying that MDSAP you need to have a lot of QSPs or SOPs. The less the better. So you'll have a very pragmatic understanding on your process approach. If you have a lot of documents, you don't know which process is connecting to where. Okay, as I said, no, you will be totally in a dark room. Okay, yeah. Say device marketing authorization, these are only 3 QSPs. Then MEI, measurement analysis and improvement, you have a good number of them, something like 7. See, when I showed you the sections are almost 16, but we have combined a lot of them and made them only, or you can do it, not me, anybody can. Because MDSAP is bit flexible in your number of QSPs. These are not a gold standard or mandatory that you need to have so many number of QSPs. MDSAP is flexible to document your QSPs as per your QMS system, how they are working based on your SOPs. But the only important thing is you need to cover each and every aspect what MDSAP talks about. Okay, basically on the country specific regulations. Okay, I'll show some examples of like you need to also include the ISO content in that in your QSP. All 5 countries you need to put them. I don't want to use the word dumping them, but you need to pragmatically structure them. Okay. Then clause 5, sorry, yeah, chapter 5. Okay, design and development, you have 8. You can, you can't make, to my sense, you can't still squeeze it. When I have done, I have squeezed it maximum to 8. It's almost like 16 sections squeezed to 8. And this is an important one, production and service controls. Okay, you have a lot of them, like 26 or 24 sections that we made 13, 13 QSPs. Of course, I'll share some of them with you. Okay, this is on purchasing. Purchasing, you have something like 12 or 14 sessions, we made it 5. Because there are some sections which are repetitive, that's what I find, which I understand. Repeatedly talking of the same thing. When somebody talks repeatedly on the same thing, better shed them at once. I mean, with one QSP, why to repeat it again and again? Okay. So this is the basic structure of how the MDSAP documentation looks like. You have chapters, sections, okay, then you have a quality manual. Then let's look at how to structure this, how to structure the QSPs and how to make them link to the SOPs. Okay, chapter wise, you can say I said chapter 2 and 4, just for some time keep them aside because they are totally country specific. They don't speak any, I mean, they don't, oh, sorry, ISO doesn't talk in any of this chapter 2 and chapter 4. These are very unique to MDSAP. Okay, except on adverse event, advisory notice, there is a little paragraph or half-page document on clause 8.3, which talks of advisory notices or adverse event reporting system, but not much than that in ISO. So, chapter 2, chapter 4, never any information you can pick up from ISO 13485. So, we need to look at these 5 chapters on management, MEI, okay, management, measurement analysis and improvement, design development, production and service control, and purchasing, which are already there. But I said you will find very little documentation in ISO 13485 on 3 chapters. Okay, because these 3 chapters have come in one clause, that is clause 7. So we in ISO we make very little documentation on these 3 chapters on, okay, one is on design and development, okay, production and service controls, and purchasing, because these 3 have come as subclause in clause 7. Okay, we do little documentation in ISO. Okay, but management chapter 5, I mean clause 5, which comes as chapter 1 here, will of course will have a lot of documentation or a lot of information on that. Okay, and MEI, which comes as chapter 3 here, clause 8 in ISO. Of course, we have a lot of detail. The more details than you find in any of the clause you find in clause 8. Okay, measurement analysis and improvement. Here it comes as chapter 3. Okay, so I hope you got the structure of it. And the first point, understanding the structure, how you need to prepare the QSPs for 5 countries, including the 6th one that is on ISO 134, that specifically has to be included. And the reason why I said ISO has to be included in 13485 is, one is it is the basic foundation of the MDSAP. Okay, all the 5 countries are built on this. Okay, ISO 134 as a foundation. The next floors or the next layers are these 5 countries. If you remove ISO, there is no MDSAP. Okay. So how to work on this, construct on this, I'll tell you. Yeah, Leela, are you able to understand? Anita?
Yes, sir.
Pranita Reddy, are you getting? Actually, I opened a lot of documents today, so it's difficult to fetch. Yeah. So how we are going to write the QSP? See, if you write the QSPs, 50% of your work is done on documentation. I'll say 50 or more than 50, like 60-70% of work is done on documentation if you write the QSPs. Okay, of course, it took me 3 months, but for you, because you are Gen X or Gen Z, you are super fast and smart, you can do much, and I'm there to guide you. Because I mean, it's like I don't agree in this process that my father was an I mean, became rich by started his career with a auto rickshaw. So I need to start with auto rickshaw to become great. I have to start from where the others have left. Like there's a old idiom like don't reinvent the bicycle or don't reinvent this cycle. Where there's a which is already there, there is no need of doing reinventing it. Doesn't mean like because I have taken 3 months, you need to take the same. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
So here is the crux. Of course, I forgot to discuss on other things like on the country specific regulations. Because each country has their QMS. Of course, I shared, but I haven't discussed on that. Actually, it's there. But before that, I'll tell you like, see, this is on management, chapter 1. Okay, this is task 1 of the management, which we call now we'll need to convert this into a QSP. That is section 1. It will become section 1.1. 1.1 in the sense, 1 is the chapter. Okay, that is management. Point 1, 1.1, point 1, and the other one is on the particular task. Okay. So in task 1.1, which is going to become section 1.1 of the QSP, this is QMS planning, implementation, changes, and quality management. Okay, actually, we have mixed lot of, I mean, me in the sense, my team, while I'm working, we mix lot of tasks, not just task 1, lot of tasks into this, made it into one task, and so that it becomes one QSP. Okay, it is QMS planning, implementation, any changes in QMS, and also included quality manual into this. See, the basic thing guys here is, see, this is the task and these are MDSAP regulations. I said MDSAP includes five specific regulations. One is the one which we need to first closely monitor is, okay, the ISO one. Because we already discussed, we know about ISO. So this QMS planning, implementation and changes and quality manual in which clause it comes in ISO or in which subclause it comes in ISO. Okay, if you look at ISO 13485, clause 1.1, 1.2, sorry, 4.1.1, 4.1.2, 4.1.3, 4.2.2, all these clause 5.4.2. All these clause talks about QMS planning, implementation, changes, quality manual. You go through this clause because you have the ISO 13485 2007 document. All right. You have this document. I'm telling you straight away, go through this clause. Just copy and paste this clause here in one column. These are the clause of ISO 1348 which are talking about this particular task. Later it will become a QSP. So I'm already giving you, okay, what are the clause which are talking about this particular QSP or the task in ISO. So see 4.1 is talking about all this. 4.1.2 is talking about all this. 4.1.3, okay, it's talking about all this. No, why you need to separate all this that are relevant to this particular clause, this particular task, is so that once you keep them together in one column, okay, just copy and paste them. All those linked to this, what ISO talking about quality manual is there in 4.2.2. Okay, quality management plan, system planning is there in 5.4.2. So once you have the clause number for that particular task, okay, the task one, this is in management, task one is talking about this, and these are the ISO clause that are linked to task one, and I have just practically gathered all this and kept in one column. Okay, there could be 3 clause or 4 clause from ISO. So here you have basically most of them are on clause 4, but include a lot of subclause and one clause from 5.4.2. This data we already have it, or I am going to share it with you. Okay, and where you find this in TGA? What is TGA? Which country it is relevant? This I have not spoken, but most of you should know this.
Australia, sir.
What is TGA? What is TGA? TGA is nothing but Therapeutic Goods Administration of Australia. This is the regulatory body which controls, okay, the medical devices. Therapeutic Goods Administration. Okay, and where you find the QMS of Australia, it is found in Schedule 3, okay, of the TGR. This is the one, Schedule 3 P1, you'll find the QMS, which I already shared with you. Schedule 3, okay, like earlier, before we have the medical device separated, like we were with the Drugs and Cosmetics Act 1940. Okay, I think that time you are in school or still studying. I mean, in late 2010 somewhere, there were no medical device regulations like now we had IMDR or medical device rules or regulation. During that time, we have only Drugs and Cosmetics Act, which is basically for pharma. Okay. And we used to have one called Schedule M. Schedule M3 in Drugs and Cosmetics Act, where it gives little information on medical devices. Like that, in TGA you have this Schedule 3 P1. So in Schedule 3, P1 1.44 talks about all this. So you pick up what, since you have the standard, okay, you have Schedule 3 which I have shared. Look at Schedule 1.4.4. It talks about requirements of quality management system. You copy and paste this in one column. Okay. Schedule 1.44. This is the one, full quality management system procedure. So now you have looked into this work particular task which is going to become a QS. Now you have the two. What ISO is talking on this? What are the clauses that are talking on this from ISO? What are the clauses that are talking, okay, from Australia TGA document Schedule 3? Okay, then you can move to other. What NVISA is talking, okay, I have already provided what MDSAP is talking. I said, as I mentioned here, Japan, it is talking, see, same as ISO 13485. Japan, I said earlier, it is almost similar to like what it is what it is there in 13485 and also Health Canada. Okay. Health Canada I totally removed because I said like Health Canada talks everything similar to that of ISO 13485. Okay, for Japan, you have the clause, it has, okay, which are found in MHL. This is Ministry of Health and Labor Welfare, MO 169. This is the QMS for them. You know the clause which are the points of the sections which talk about this particular task. You copy and paste it. Okay, RDC NVISA. This is the RDC. Okay, 162013. RDC NVISA is the QMS for NVISA, which I also shared. So these are the sections or clause in their QMS which are talking about this particular task in management. So you make them, suppose like 21 CFR 820. So on the management aspects for this particular task in US FDA, that is called Quality System Regulation, 21 CFR 820 is the basic QMS, or QSR, sorry. But 820.20 of 0.20 talks about all this stuff on management responsibilities. So you copy and paste this. So now you have, except Canada, Canada is similar to ISO 13485. So you have now almost everything placed it in one document on the particular task. Okay. On the particular task of the management responsibilities or QMS planning, implementation, changes and quality manual, this further will be converted into an QSP 1.1. So for us, the key is here. You need to know what are the sections or the clause or the subclause involved in all these 5 countries for that particular task. Okay. Then you go through individual QMS or individual QMS document of that particular country, which I have shared. Of course, you want this, we call this as a working document. This is not yet final. This is a working document where based on certain tasks. Okay, and the second thing I know what are the clauses that are there for this particular task in all 5 countries and also in ISO. So I go through the individual QMS QMS standards of that particular country, pick out those clause or plug those plug pluck out those clause from that QMS and paste them here. I have not read it, just paste them here simply. Okay. Once you paste them, all these country specific, including the ISO, okay, the thing is you need to go to them, go or read them and understand them. I know it takes time. Okay, to read for one task, you have so much of information. How to make this into a QSP? Okay, the simple thing is like if you already have, okay, this step one is this, you pick up a task, okay, you have relevant clause for that particular task from all 5 countries plus ISO. Okay, this is the first step. Pick up the task, you have this. You don't find this, this is there in one document. But I can share all working documents where you'll have all this. Then you copy paste everything from that country specific quality management system standard, which I have shared before. If you want me to share again, I'll do it. But unnecessarily, it's uh, uh, using a lot of space in our group. So you copy and paste it. That's the second step. Don't go through this deeply. If you have time, you can understand each country specific, like what they are talking, what they are not talking. So the third step is you just pick up, okay, your ISO 13485 document, which is talking on this particular QMS planning. You should be having a QMS planning, implementation change and quality manual. Okay, because you are already an ISO 13485 company. Okay, most of it. If you are a new company, then basic thing is first you need to have an ISO 13485 before you implement MDServe. Okay, you can't directly enter for a new company with MDServe. First, you need to have an ISO 13485 QMS documentation and certification. Then you need to travel forward, entering into the MDServe. So if you look at this particular thing, you already have information. You should be having information on quality manual, okay, QMS planning, implementation, any changes. I'm pretty sure you'll have that in your ISO 13485 documents. Okay, then you take that document out. Okay, once you take that document out, then you look at what are the things that particular ISO 13485 document is not covering in this. Okay, most of them will be covered in the ISO 13485 document. There'll be few things which are not covered. Okay, then you can highlight them. See, this is not covered in ISO 13485. Okay, when you look at the TGA for the Australia, okay, and most of them are covered, and few of them, if they are not covered, then you need to include them. So this is the first basic task where it is just an manual work. Yeah, 1 second, stay on. I'm sorry. So, I mean, like I said, you pick up your documents from ISO. I mean, why I'm telling this is there should not be any redundance of doing the work, because you have already a structured ISO 13485 documentation. Don't try to do repeated documentation. It creates redundance or repeated work. So in your existing document, what is there for ISO 13485? You keep adding the country specific what are there for each country into that particular document. Okay, like you'll find very few of them, 4-5 things, or it could be more for some of the QSPs, or some of the tasks that could be very lengthy, like you find them in design and development. Okay, management, you may not find a lot of differences except adding to your existing one some another 1 page or 2 page country specific requirements in management for each QSP. Okay, but in certain clause like in design and development, you need to restructure total of your QMS on design and development, because in ISO we'll have very little documentation on design and development. Production and service control also, we need to restructure a lot of things, and purchasing also you need to restructure. As I said, in ISO because they had come under some subclause, we had very little documentation on that. But for management and MEI, chapter 1 and chapter 3, MEI, measurement analysis and improvement, we have enough documentation from ISO where we can use them as the base or foundation and keep adding the country specific regulations which are very specific to them, which you find in their QMS, to the already existing document. Okay, don't make anything new. Keep that document, make it as an change control or a revision copy, revision 2, adding the MD sub clause or MD sub sections. Okay, it will become another revision, but keep that as it is ISO document. Add the country specific regulations which you find in this. I'll also share with you a very short note on which you can do very directly. Like, what are the country specific regulations? Okay, I'll share with you a list. I'll share the working documents with you. If somebody wants to implement this in their organization, or if you have plans of implementing this in your organization, or if somebody like Pranita or Leela, in future in their company, if they have any plans, they can come back and ask me. I need these documents. See, point 1, I can share you directly the QSPs. Okay, which I have made, which I have prepared. But it doesn't make any sense for you if I share the QSPs directly. You take some time. Once I share the working document, it takes some time. Try to understand what the QSP is and try building your QSP based on your basic structure on MDSAP. Basic structure, basic documentation, what you already have in ISO 13485. Keep building, keep adding country specific document, country specific. I'll also share for each task what are the country specific regulations. Okay, because guys, why I'm saying this is when you have an MDSAP audit, the auditors will ask you how you have build up these documents. Okay, it's not like there is an consultancy. Like when I'm preparing post-COVID, these documentations in second phase of COVID in 2021, there were a lot of consultants, even for gap analysis of 13485 and MDSAP, they used to sell this only gap analysis document of 13485 and MDSAP. They used to sell for hundreds of dollars of these companies like the Greenlight Guru, Adv and a lot of other consultancies in US. Now I found this very nonsense. Like we can do a gap analysis. Okay, we can structure it. It's a matter of time. Okay. So there, once the auditor saw, you can say this is the working document, and I followed the same working document or the audit approach document which was provided by the MDSAP, and I followed this system. Okay, I segregated all the tasks, all 5 country specific QMS systems for each task. This I have converted it into a QSP with a base document of ISO 13485. I said ISO 13485 is a basic document or the foundational document. If you keep writing again another QSP, what happens is that you'll land up in confusion and there will be a lot of repetition of work. With this, I am always also sharing. Okay. For each task, I'll also be sharing what are the country specific regulations. Okay, in QMS, also in the regulatory front. In regulatory, you find more in design, as I said, in design development, product relation, and purchasing. And of course, I said class 2 and class 4 are entirely different. But it has only 5 or 6 PSPs. So this is the ideal way of doing it. For each task, I can share you all these clauses that are included. Just make this, okay, format this, prepare this document. It will be good for you for the future audits. If you want me to share the QSP for this, I can straight away share it. Okay. Or I have 54 QSPs or 56 QSPs for MDSAP. Okay. I mean, this is one typical example I have taken. For every task, you have this. Have you got my point? Somebody, Majid, has you understood what I said, what I discussed?
Yes, sir.
So we have already, once you have already the top 2 rows, I mean, mainly the MDSAP regulations for all 5 countries plus ISO and what is the task. Just you go through the particular QMS of the country, copy them, paste them here. This is the working document you have which includes all 5 countries. You can neglect or you can keep aside Canada, Health Canada because it is very close. But I'll tell you, mainly for a Arulmati, since you are in Canada, I tell you how QMS, the Canada QMS differs from ISO 13485, but it is very close to ISO 13485. Okay, if you want, I can pick up one more and let's see whether I open. Now, these are all working documents. I haven't, if you want, I can open.
The structures are same or it's different?
No, it will vary, it will be different. No, the working document structure looks the same. Okay, just get the country specific clause, ISO clause for that particular task, copy paste from that particular country specific standard, you will have a working document. Yeah, I think so. Now I'll show some of them. I mean, for all tasks, I have this working document.
So these working documents where we can find, sir, where we can download.
No, you can't download.
Okay.
I'll share with you.
Okay. Okay.
See, I already said the purpose of these sessions is what I have done, I have to share. It's not like you need to do it from scratch or zero. It's waste of time for you. I'll share the working documents. From that working documents, you prepare your QSP. Okay, and of course, as I said, the QSP will be more, yeah, your organization dependent. Mostly 20-30% varies with what I prepared, the QSP what I prepared. Suppose I prepared for a company which I'll show. From this working document, I prepared a QSP. See, I'll show you a simple document. I mean, I have expanded that as a working document, but prior you can do one thing. See this. Can you see this document? Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
See, this is on management. I have written all the tasks, okay, all the 11 tasks, and have the clause section regulations included in MDSAP countries with ISO 13485. What ISO for this particular task, where I can find in ISO, where I can find in TGA, NVISA, that's RDC, Brazil, TGA Australia. Okay, this is PMDA is for Japan. We call it as MO 169. I'll discuss on that. What is MO 169? This is Ministry of Health and Labor Welfare. Okay, then this FDA. So you have task, you have the clause, all country specific. Then you copy paste all those. You can give responsibilities to your team. Like that time there was Deepak Patel. When they used to look at the management and I used to review them. So you have this is a base document. Like for each and every chapter, I have this, like for each task, what are the clause? Okay. From that, you can pick and make a working document. After doing the working document, you take the third step is you take your basic ISO 11348 document. Okay, and to that you keep adding these specific, okay, the country specific clause or standards. Okay, you need to be very conversant with them because you just can't copy. For working document, you can copy and paste them. But in PSP, you can't paste them like that. It should have a flow. So you need to restructure them. You should be very good in how to write these QSPs or SOPs. There are some people who are very good in writing a new SOP or restructuring the SOP. That is really an art. I don't say it as a science. As you keep working on them, you understand how to structure it. Okay, what is the scope? What is the objectives? Abbreviations, definitions, responsibilities. Okay, and landing up exactly in the what is the procedure. Then what are the references? What are the records? Then the revision history. It comes in a very structured fashion. Okay. And for all of this, for all of the tasks, for all of the chapters, for all of the tasks, I can share this document and also the working document. Okay, which I have showed earlier. The working document, working document. This is a base document on which I have built the working document. So once you have the working document, that time I took time because one thing is that's very new to, I mean, a lot of people, except few Western countries who had good understanding, mainly that time the consultancies have good understanding on MDSAP, not the companies. Okay, I made a decade that done this paid work. Okay, dividing into a basic working document and the working document earlier I showed. And what are the country specific ones where I need to put them inside the ISO 134 and gradually build up that. And end of the day, it will become a QSP. Okay. Once which is an ISO document, ISO 13485 document, later it will become a QSP for MDSAP. Okay, like I'll show, see for this, all chapters I'll share you task wise. Okay, clause and regulations in ISO and all the 5 countries. So once you work on this basic working document in Excel, you can do it in Excel or you can do it in Word. Okay. Then the QSP will come out like I'm showing an example of how the QSP looks like. This is a QSP for MDSAP on a particular task, which is also linked to the management. It will be a bit lengthy, but it's fine. Okay, it is on a particular task which I have converted into a QSP. Okay, the task is 6 personal competency and training. This you also find this as a SOP or something in your ISO. Okay, ISO 13485 QMS, you'll find personal competency and training. Okay, QSP 1 here talks about 1 represents the management. This is chapter 1, task 6. We'll convert them into section. That is QSP 1.6. Okay. So it includes all the 5 countries and also ISO requirements for this particular personal competency and training. Okay, you'll have a lot of definitions and abbreviations, that's fine. Okay, responsibilities will be the same. And procedures, see what the problem, I mean, not the, I should not call it a problem. The intrinsic thing or the important thing, as I told earlier also, though I am writing an QSP on 1.6, which is linked to competency and training, this clause later when you review that QSP, you need to do 3 reviews of the QSP. This also links to other QSPs which are written. See, QSP 3.5. What is QSP 3.5 talking? See, 3 is the chapter. 5 is the task or the section. What is chapter 3? Chapter 3 is MAI, Measurement, Analysis and Improvement. What I am talking here, QMS internal audits, quality audits to meet the specified requirements. I'm talking about trained personnel for management of work, assessment activities, including QMS. So some of these clauses, okay, some of the QSPs are linked to this QSP. That is what we call interlinking or interlinking of the QSPs. Okay, and this is a basic thing of MDSAP, that you have all the processes linked. This management is now linked to Chapter 3, a particular task. See, this is the QSP from chapter 1, 6, task 6, which personal training and competence. But you find chapter 3 clause here, QSP chapter 3, chapter 6. What is chapter 6? Production and service control is also linked to this. Okay. 6.1. So you need to link up QSP 1.4, which is also a management chapter in management linked to this. Okay. It includes something like all the competency training procedures. Some want on-joint training, external training, staff training. There will be some very peculiar. The frequency of training. Okay. See, when you come to the frequency of training, this is linked to an SOP. We don't write the frequency of training here. We link this to an SOP which is already there, and that SOP you need to restructure it. Suppose if you have ISO 13485 document, which document on SOP, which is talking on competency and training. Okay, you have an SOP, we'll say we'll train this. There'll be a lot of things like skill-based training or new training on QMS or on clean room trainings. What is the schedule for trainings? Okay, there is a procedure SOP for the training, but different. If you look at the different countries QMS, they talk on not the frequency of training, they talk more on what are the requirements of training. Okay, should you include external training, self-study, on-job training? Okay, and what is the evaluation? How you do the evaluation for training? Okay, additional training, any market compliance and all this. Some of the country specific, few of these talk on this. If critical changes are made in QSM, SOP, QSP, SOP, then you need to provide training to all these who are involved. And criteria for these are very specific to some of the countries. Then you have again linkages of this QSP, as I said, to your SOP. This is on the evaluation. How you evaluate a person after training or an employee after training. And most importantly, I said QSP 1.7. This I have shared. This is the reason I have shared this document. Quality risk management. Every chapter or every QSP will be linked to quality risk management, which I have discussed starting during the session. And it will be linked to almost all chapters, all QSPs, the quality risk management. Okay, competency certification. Again, you have some SOPs linked, some QSPs linked, other chapter QSPs linked, and within chapter you have to have QSPs linked. Okay, other SOPs linked. Okay, a lot of SOPs are linked to that because we can't include every SOP in a QSP. Just we give a reference of that. Okay, this is fine, accepted. So what the auditor will do is when he's reading, he'll ask you, where is the SOP for it? Okay, then we need to bring that SOP. HAD is the Human Resource Administration Department. They will have the SOP on training always. Okay, next year. Like this, you need to build up your QSP on a particular thing. Okay, this is very country specific. Certificate of competency, and that's why you should have competency on your audits, training. Okay, whether you have took training on MDSAP. Okay, I took training on ISO 13485. Of course, I mean later I'll give you certifications or provide certification of competency in all those which we have different modules like an ISO 134, ISO 14971 risk management. I'll give you a certificate like how I have done for internal audit. Okay, EUMDR, I'll give a certificate. But if somebody needs MDSAP certification, I can provide that. But you need to practically work on this. It's not just you have listened to this. Providing a certificate will be difficult, but still I can do it if you are very thorough and clear some exam. Okay. See, you see the references. References are very important here. See, I have included the references. Lot of QSPs I have included in this. Link them with QSPs. You can see all chapter 1, chapter 3, chapter 6, 6, 6, 7. Okay, Enexer on quality risk management. These are all SOPs. Okay, you can link like, see, emergency exit, it comes as a part of training. Portable fire extinguisher, how you do when there is an emergency, how you'll do the use the fire extinguisher. There is an SOP because it comes as a training. Okay, training of factory employees on first aid, safety training, employee training. Okay, what are the risks involved if you have not trained the person? That comes under quality risk management. And there are some QSPs that are linked to this. Okay, competency and training. You need to train them on quality policy objectives, organization structure, responsibility, risk management, document and control of reports. Everybody has to know this. Okay, like the internal audits. And the most important one is that you are referring to these documents. Okay, like I showed in the working document. Okay, in ISO, I have referred to this clause. In NVISA RDC, I have referred to this. Okay, so and so clause in RDC. In PMDA or in the Japan MO 169, I have referred to this. FDA, I have referred to 820.25. Okay, dot 20 subclause B and 0.2. And also 820.25. I have referred to all this and I have prepared this QSP. So it becomes such an important one, basically looking at the references. So it has look always how you have linked this. As I said, it's a pop. I have to link a lot of processes with them. Okay, like see control and chapter 6 on production and service control. You have linked here. Chapter 6, chapter 7 is there on purchasing. Okay, chapter 3 is the MEI. Chapter 3 measurement. Uh, I have the habit of using abbreviation. Okay. Then comes your records, because always your SOPs are linked to records. Okay. The record on training plan, skill matrix, training record, because you need to enter them. What is the training plan? What is the skill matrix you have? Training pulse record, monitoring record, competency certificate, do you have it? These are all records. Competency chart, induction training, training and evaluation questionnaires. Okay, and you need to have all these records which are linked to your SOPs. Yes, SOPs are linked to your QSPs. Okay, QSPs, as I said, are basically linked within the same chapter or can be linked to other chapters. Okay, so the structure of references is very, very important. See, I find this more relevant when you link this basically the QSPs. And you also have important thing, you need to also link this with your regulations. If you have anything that is there in the regulations of IMDR or EUMDR, okay, that are regulatory documents. EUMDR 2017 talks anything on competency and training. Maybe we should have PRRC. PRRC is a new thing which has come in EUMDR that has to be included. But that time when I prepared this document, PRRC was not there. Okay, on training and other things. So there will be some new documents, new QSPs that will come out now, because we need to include mainly the European EUMDR where it is linked with the ISO 13485. Now, if you see the structure, the regulatory documents also will come in. Okay. And you have these QSPs coming in from within the chapter of management and also outside these other chapters. The QSPs has to be interlinked. This is the main one on the risk management has to be linked. Okay, these are all SOPs that has to be linked. Okay, then you have the MDSAP guidance document which has to be linked. Because you need to say, I have followed the MDSAP audit approach document and hence I am doing this. And this, which clause or which sections in each specific country you have referred. Okay, this has to be linked. ISO and visa. Health Canada is not there, but Health Canada comes in other things. Basically, it comes in more in chapters 2, 4. And specifically in production and provision control, Health Canada has a lot of clause which are very specific, country specific. Okay, then you need to link them with your records. Okay, then this will become a complete QSP. Then you can read the QSP, like what is the scope and objective of the QSP. Okay. Yeah, I said a lot of abbreviations will come in. Maybe I can share you QSPs also, or I have like for QSPs, but you need to link them as required. See, if you see this, as required, current employees should undergo awareness training and regular updation on ISO 134, CGMP, IMDR 2017, UMDR. We are combining the regulatory standards also here. Okay, and QMS and regulatory requirements of MDSAP. Actually, I'm just trying to make you understand the structure of the QSP. Okay, like how you can start with the working documents, picking up all this clause for a particular task, making it a particular format as a working document, then taking your base ISO 134 document and adding the country specific clause to it. Okay, then particularly aligning them. Okay, I know like this part will become difficult, like how you make align all of them. Okay, it should have a flow. It should not be a cut and paste document that you have picked something from it and pasted it here. You can do it in working document, but when you come to something very specific which comes as an master copy or later the control copy, there should be a flow of this. Okay. But I said again and repeating, this structure is based on the 13485 format. But you will be adding the additional country specific requirements into this. For that, you should know what are the country specific requirements. So start working. I will also share country specific requirements for each task. Okay, I said you'll find more country specific starting from, yeah, country specific both in chapter 2 and chapter 4 are entirely different. You don't find them in IS4. Okay, that 5 QSPs or 6 QSP are entirely different. And in design and development, you'll find lot of country specific. Okay, you don't find much in management. And the other is on production and provision control, service controls, you find lot of country specific. Purchasing, you not find much. Management and purchasing, MBA, measurement analysis and improvement, chapter 3, you might not find much. Chapter 2, okay, on marketing authorization and facility registration. Chapter 5, sorry, chapter 4, it's totally different. Adverse events and advisory notices. And chapter 5 on measurement, sorry, design and development, you will find a lot of things different. Not a lot, but some 20-30% different. Production and provision control, you find some differences, country specific. And differences, I mean, like compared to ISO 13485. Purchasing, not very much. Okay. Oh, it could be slim. So this is one which how the QSP looks like, connected to a lot of things. Okay, further QSP is connected to SOPs, SOP is connected to your records. Okay. Anybody have doubts in this? Or you want any specific things? Of course, I'll share all working documents, but it will become a bulk. Of course, I thought of sharing you have one drive sharing all the documents, but from my laptop, it's become difficult. Of late, I'm not able to open even my documents, that I need to upgrade this system because it carries loads and loads of documents. See, once you prepare the working document, now it will be easy for you to prepare the QSP. Once you have the working document structure, okay, like you can translate them using AML directly into a QSP, but of course it will give a structure, but you need to format it or review it and restructure it, but you'll have the basic bulk of the work done by the AML or mostly generative AI. I know like NLP, natural language process, or LLM will do that. Large language models, LLM can pick up, okay, what are there in that working document, country specific laws, and can structure it a QSP. But end of the day, it may not really work so proficiently as we structure it, but it will do a bulk of the work, and it will also help you. As I said, for any document generated by AML, you need to review it and you need your approval. Without any approval, AML document is not valid. Okay, once you approve it, once you sign it, it becomes your responsibility that you have picked up, okay, some other model of working on the document. Okay, it may give 70-80% accuracy, but 20% you need to restructure, need to review, need your approval. I know, like once you have all the working documents with LLM, large language models, or NLP, you can convert them into a QSP. That's because I have done it some 4 or 5 years back. Okay, that time NLP is available, LLM models are not available. Machine learning was there, but after 21 only I got trained. I got postgraduated in AIML in Texas, University of Texas. So then later I learned AML in 21, 22 post-COVID. Of course, that's a very risky decision. During COVID, I traveled and stayed for a year and learned AML. If I had known this, large language models can convert this, I would have done the same way. But that time I was doing more manual. Okay, but now there's so much of fast stuff that is coming in. But I want to draw a red line here. Any document that is generated on AI, ML, machine learning models, okay, or generative AI, they are all pre-trained transferred. You know the meaning of pre-trained, they're already trained on it. And the bad thing is they'll have a memory of it. Okay, on the way you have trained it. So there may come a lot of errors in that, or so total mismatch may come sometimes. So you need to be very, very careful when you use that. Once you give the approval, it means you are accountable for that. Okay, not the model, not the machine, nothing to do with AI/ML. Once you give the approval, it becomes your accountability. Okay, which I'll be talking later in the AML courses, like how we take the responsibility. So as of now, this is what we need to do. I thought of speaking on MCs, but tomorrow I'll discuss about NC grading. But have you understood how to structure this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And I told you very categorically, it's if there is only one person doing it, of course, I said you can initially start doing. I said the famous saying, begin is half done. If you start doing it, it's almost like half done. You need to step in. Okay. You can just start moving in a tortoise pace, like start moving not like a rabbit. Baby steps, then you'll understand this. But of late now, after this, you can do it very fast, the QSPs, if you use some AML, but still I say like you can manually do it. If you do manually, you understand really the crux of it because you are bound to read it. Okay. So I will share you the working documents. If somebody wants urgently, I need a QSP directly, I can do that. But you need to review and link your SOPs because the SOPs I linked or the records I linked are to a particular company. Of course, I said like I've done documentation for 3-4 companies on every side and also done the training for them, like how to structure all this. And they have a very good team in all the 3-4 companies. There is a very good QA team and RA team that they have worked on that. Okay, you need to, basically this basic stuff, you need to allocate responsibilities on each chapter to some group. Okay, you have 7 chapters. 2 and 4 you can allocate to an RA, right? RA person because it's talking of marketing authorization, talking of adverse events, advisory and all that RA can take. Production and service controls you can allocate to somebody in production. Okay, you need to take up if you are a senior guy or if you're seriously look into it, you can pick up management chapter. Design and development, you can give it to your R&D team. If R&D team is not there, you can do it by yourself or somebody is well known to R&D. But I strongly suggest not to go through a consultant who sells you all these documents. Well, sells you the QSPs or sells you SOPs, sells you. It will cost a lot, hundreds and thousands of dollars, unnecessarily wasting your company's money, which you yourself can do. See, a lot of consultants basically in the West has this drama of doing this. Whenever something new comes in, where they prepare some formats, structure, framework. See, now QMSR is aligning with ISO, the US FDA, PSR. Now they have created a big drama that we are taking tutorials, or we have the documents how to align them with ISO 13485. Okay, we know how to align 21 CFR 820 into ISO. That we can also do. It's common sense. It's not, I said again and I repeat, it's not such a big scientific thing that you should have an IQ of 180 like Einstein or somebody, or it's not a quantum physics. It's simple QMS. You know how to align this with 13485. Why I should I buy that with so many dollars? Okay. I mean, I strongly advise, it's my personal opinion. If you have money, if your company is rich like Mother Sri company, or they can buy it. I think they already have MD SAP, but I suggest like those who already have MD SAP, okay, like intuitive, they can review their document and see where further improvements can be done. Okay, because the MD SAP is also like EUMDR, European Union, releasing a lot of documents every month, trying to upgrade them. Okay, you can work on, there is a new quality management system that has rolled out last year, how to structure your quality manual or quality system manual for MDSAP. I'll share that document also, that came in 2025. But what I've showed the quality manual, I think I'm not showing. Okay, I'll show it in next slide. Quality manual is from the basic document. In 2025 last year, they have reviewed how to structure the quality system manual for MDSAP. That I'll show in next slide. Also, we'll talk about how the audit process goes on, and also the system of NC grading. It will be, I won't say totally different. Yeah, it will be substantially different from the grading system or the audit approach process, which we learned in ISO as during the internal auditor training. But you can understand it better because you already know the auditing approach process in ISO. Okay, the checklist will be checklist for the audits, the internal audits for MDSAP. You can conduct internal audits for MDSAP also. Okay. That checklist will be very different from ISO. And if somebody like Majid, if I think you are the guy, somewhere Aman also told to me that they are doing some work, the company is doing some work on this, or I don't know, I forgot.
Yes, sir. Azerbaijan.
No, Azerbaijan, that is different. That is on the regulate registration. No, not Aman, but sorry, Vaibhav. Vaibhav said he today is traveling, not able to attend. Vaibhav told that he wants some documentation, and Majid also asked me for some documentation. Azerbaijan, that I can tell you very categorically. See, first is you need to have, okay, for the registration, I can give you a total pathway for registration. Okay, what documentation is required, I already shared with you. It looks similar documentation, not so detailed documentation like UMDR, but a very structured documentation on MDR and QMS, ISO 13485. But the pathway of registration, okay, which I shared, you should have what we call uh, attorney attorney given to whoever is you are appointing in that particular country. Okay, and you should have a pre-sale certificate. Then the other thing is you should have a representative who is a citizen of that particular country. Okay, like how you have this in UAE or Saudi when we register, you should have a representative there on your company's behalf, whether it could be an authorized representative or a distributor or somebody responsible who takes, okay, accountability for that. I'll show, I mean, I'll share that document with you, like the pathway for registration. Second is on the documentation and required, it's quite simple. If you have the UMDR documentation, that's much fit enough. And second thing, this Eurasia countries, what they do is, suppose if you already have a CE documentation, your process becomes easy. Because you are already CE certified for that, your device is already CE certified. They think that they think that the audit CE audit has gone, because that is the tough and stringent one to pass, get the CE certification. Like in a lot of other countries, if you already have a CE certification, your marketing or your certification in that particular country becomes easy, because you already prone to the tough and very Herculean task of getting CE certification in the way of documentation or in the audit. These particular countries think that, okay, this should have been, this document should be fine. Okay, this happens with a lot of Middle East countries or other tech. Of course, Asia Pacific or Middle East, Asian countries, because they think that CE certification or having US FDA, not 510K, it's PMA, post marketing approval. They think that you have a strong QMS or a strong documentation. So the documentation, I'll share that list and the pathway for that. Okay, maybe today or tomorrow. You can go through that. Or if you want, if anybody want to get their products registered in other countries, let me know. I can help you on that. I mean, provide guidance on that. Okay.
So, sir.
So I'll call. Should we close this today? Anybody have doubts? Let me know. Anybody have doubts? Nobody have doubts? We'll call it a day. And yeah, I think, yeah, there's one correction I have to do. Actually, by default, I mean, it's not a default. By overview, or it's a mistake. Okay, one of my employee has scheduled the opening session of the meeting tomorrow for AML on QARA. AML master classes. The opening will be there tomorrow. I mean, the first introductory meeting. Actually, tomorrow we suppose have the second session on Saturdays. So I think maybe can you accommodate yourself on Monday? Monday same time 6:30 to 8:30. Sorry, not on Monday, on Sunday.
No problem, sir.
Okay. So on Sunday between 6:30 to 8:30, I'll close that soon because it's on Sunday. We'll discuss on few aspects on the auditing process, auditing approach, and let me know if somebody want to have MDSAP certification, training certification on MDSAP, let me know so that I can advise some of my guys, employees to prepare certification for you. Okay. And yeah, on Sunday we'll meet. Tomorrow I have, but for this week we'll adjust like this. But later from next week we'll have it on Fridays and Saturdays only, because AML I'll be taking on Wednesday. AML in QARA I'll be taking on Wednesday 6 to 9. And this QARA, advanced QARA on Friday and Saturdays between 6:30 to 8:30. Okay, because couple of you are also there in AML, QARA. So that will be on Wednesday. Only for this first introductory section, it will be on tomorrow. Okay. And tomorrow's session, I'll be deferring it or moving it to on Saturdays from 6:30 to 8:30. Okay, not on Saturdays, Sunday. Sunday 6:30 to 8:30, just because of, I mean, I also not checked it that it is falling on Saturday. I thought it is, this AIML will come on Sunday. I seriously directed them to make it on Sunday, but by overlook, I don't know of negligence, or people are taking me very casually. My employees, not me. They made it on Sunday and I haven't reviewed it. That's also my mistake. But it fell down as tomorrow where we have a session. And of course, I need to address both of them. There's a clash on time. So since it's an introductory one, I don't want to change or defer it. Okay, but we will defer this tomorrow session to Sunday, 6:30 to 8:30. But we'll follow the same regular schedule what we have done earlier. Okay, on Fridays and Saturdays. On this advanced QARA master classes. For AML QARA sessions, I'll have it on Wednesday. Because couple of them are there, like Leela is there, I think. Madhu is there, Somand, and a couple of them are there. Those who are not coming to QARA sessions, they are there in AML, and couple of new guys joined. Not couple, most of them new joined, but I said to them they should already have experience in QARA. So that's fine. Okay, only for this time, just for me, attend on Sunday, okay? I really oblige for it, my apologies. So that we can close the MDSAP and move to the most interesting topic in medical devices, that is on risk management. Not only in medical devices, in a lot of fields, risk management is very important. Yeah, on Sunday we'll close MDSAP, and you guys need certification, let me know. We'll have a very simple exam. Because I need to have the records if somebody asks like how you gave the certification. Of course, I have the recordings of all this session. And also we'll have a very simple exam on basic understanding, not like the ISO 1345 internal auditor. It's basically a training session. Okay. Okay, fine, take care guys. See you on, some of you I'll see you tomorrow and some on Sunday 6:30. Yeah. And let me know any documents you require for your MDSAP or any help like Aman on registration in other countries. Okay. I'll be very much, if it gets delayed, don't feel wrong. I have other, navigations or work with my clients because I'll be traveling a lot. But still I can share it, no issue. Okay, bye, take care.